Good morning, it's Mike Zschunke, Berkshire Hathaway Homes and Shipton Properties in Scottsdale, Arizona. Friday morning market chat live. We're going to talk about residential, we're going to talk about commercial real estate, we're going to talk about the economy. First of all, we're going to start with inventory. Up around the valley, except that Scottsdale, Cave Creek, Fountain Hills. Scottsdale's down to 1,530, I want to say 31 single-family detached homes on the market. That's back to January levels. So there's just not enough. We're about 10% below inventory where we need to be. Home prices starting to climb again in those core markets that I pay attention to: the Scottsdale, Phoenix, like the north end of Scottsdale, Cave Creek, Fountain Hills, but kind of all around the valley. Home prices starting to climb again as inventory continues to drop. We had existing home sales nationwide, so right around 4 million, a little bit low historically, but people are still out there. Mortgage purchase applications were up 4% this week and 7% higher than last year. So buyers are out there. Buyers, we hear about this economy and things that are expensive. Buyers are out there. Mortgage rates about 70% lower, 70 basis points lower than we were a year ago. Now we've got prices coming up again. It doesn't really make a difference if you want to buy. If you want to sell. $25-$50 a month on your mortgage payment. Is that really going to make a difference? I don't think so. And we kind of expect this to be in this mode. We are heading into the summer months here in Arizona. Things generally, historically, has slowed down, but I'm not sure. With last summer, we never really had that lull. This summer, it'll be interesting to see what happens. The super high-end market, we had 8 in Scottsdale and Paradise Valley. We had 8 sales just this week over $5 million. So that luxury market, which isn't, it sounds like it is a lot of money. I'll say that. $5 million is a lot of money. But when you're coming from California, Washington, Illinois, and you've got $3 million equity and cash in your pocket, coming from a high-tax state, maybe it makes sense. That's just the area. It sounds stupid. I don't know. But it's a lot of money, but that's the area. That's Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, Cave Creek. $1 million to $2 million is pretty much the standard for a home price right now. Just negotiating, it's funny, and it's my job. A seller has an asset to sell. A buyer wants to purchase that asset. What do we have to do to make that happen? This week, we were negotiating on a property, a good size number, and I could prove all day long the numbers that they were significantly too high in the market, and submitted the offer. They were significantly too high. I could prove the numbers, and the seller still wouldn't budge. They said, at that price, we are not a seller. So sometimes we can do all we want. It's what it's worth to you is what it's worth to you. What it's worth to the seller is what it doesn't make sense for them to move at that price. Maybe not. They're just out there testing the market. And I always point out, every listing is a real estate agent's opportunity to market that listing and get their name out there for other business. So sometimes agents will take an overpriced listing. I do not. I really try hard not to. There's those situations where we will. But I'm not going to do it, because then 30, 60, 90 days down the road, you say, Mike, you're not doing your job. So, well, you're asking $1 million too much. So I don't want to go down the road. Thankfully, I haven't had to recently. But anyway, it's just bringing. It's been more difficult, and I hear it through other agents too. It's more difficult now, like it was, last fall. It was really difficult to bring buyers and sellers together on the same page. And they see these 8 sales at $5 million. All of a sudden, everybody who's got a $3 million house thinks their property is worth $5 million. It's not. So otherwise, it wouldn't be on the market for 280 days. But anyway, we won't talk about that. I'm hearing a lot of vacant houses. People can't sell their house. It's a vacant house, maybe a second home. They don't want to sell it because they don't want to initiate that tax liability. However, a vacant house goes south very quickly, and there's a cost to carry a vacant house. You have your carrying fees. Hopefully, you don't have a mortgage on it, but You've got your taxes, you've got your maintenance, you've got your possibility of squatters moving into it. We've seen that around the Scottsdale, but there's a cost. It's not all just about taxes, and there's a solution to everything. If you want to sell, give me a call. Let's figure out how to make it happen. Everything is negotiable. So we'll make it happen for you. And sometimes we can't, but let's sit down, look at the numbers, and I represent you, whether you're buying or selling. I only get paid on success. That's my new favorite thing. I get paid on success. If your house doesn't sell, I don't make money. If we don't find you in a house, I don't make money. So it doesn't do me any good anyway to tell you to lie to you. I don't want to say lie, but it's my job to tell you the truth, and let's get to where you want to be. So anyway, that's my spiel on that. Anyway, commercial. We've got that building down in Roosevelt Row. Super cool building. It's a hair salon right now downstairs. It's got retail frontage right on Roosevelt Row and an apartment upstairs. It's a moneymaker. If you have a small business and you need a retail shop in the vibrant Roosevelt Row area, or as an investor, it's a long hold. There's a lot of developing and building. That area is really growing. Then that with ASU right there, they're developing some big apartment complexes, and it's an active. Can go down there on a Friday, Saturday afternoon, and there's a lot of people around. So it's a neat business. And I went down earlier this week. I talked to all the other business owners nearby and just, hey, we've got this building for sale, and it's just as good. I always like when I jump into a new area and introduce myself, and I get to talk to other business owners. That's fun. It's fun for me. But and so anyway, if you're interested in that, it's 1,750 square feet, I think it's 800 downstairs and 750 upstairs in the apartment. So it's a cool building. Anyway, CBRE came out with a lending report. And remember, commercial real estate is all about the financing. Their lending momentum index is as high as it's been since 2021. Their average loan was, I want to say 14% higher than it was in 2021. So they're lending again. Banks are lending, private money is lending, and they're looking for commercial opportunities. And that's, just follow the money. U.S. Merchants is a company came out of California. They just purchased 450,000 square foot distribution center along that 303 on the West Valley. They see, and I've mentioned this many times, that 303, that West Valley, that is the new trucking corridor. It's from Mexico to Canada. Somewhere along there, they're going to put that Highway 11. So U.S. Merchants, they're opening a big warehouse over there. They're going to save a ton of money moving out of California. And it's funny, actually, we're getting a lot of calls. Washington State, all of a sudden, is in the news. And I notice it on the calls that we're getting from Washington State. It's usually California, Chicago, New York, even Texas. But Washington State's been a hot one this week. We're getting clients moving to Arizona, businesses and residential. So that's interesting. Mesa approved a huge 2.2 million square foot data center out by Mesa Gateway Airport. I have mixed feelings on the data center. It's mainly you have to start thinking about how are we going to repurpose this building. Remember when we all first got cell phones and there was the big brick you had to carry around and that came small? What are you going to do with that 100,000 square foot data center building in 5-10 years when you can run it out of your iPhone in your pocket? It'll be interesting. And it's fun. There's a lot of conversations now. Everybody always talks about water in Arizona. Arizona has plenty of water underneath the ground. It's just the political hurdles you have to get to the water. Power is going to be the new water. We have Palo Verde nuclear facility out in Tonopah. It's the largest on the West Coast. It used to be the largest in the United States. Now I think Georgia maybe. I don't know. My brother-in-law's he's an actual nuclear engineer, so we'll bring him on sometime and see. He's brilliant. So maybe we'll have him on and talk about power in Arizona and where we can go with that. That might be a separate video or whatever. But Amcor Technology, they're up in Peoria. They increased their investment in their semiconductor facility, and we always talk about the Northwest Phoenix, that TSMC. They increased their investment from $2 billion to $7 billion. 7,300 acre semiconductor packaging facility. So that's all happening out in that desert. Those bring high paying jobs that supports the commercial real estate, supports the residential real estate. And Arizona's it's hot. That's the number one ranked I don't know how they said it. It's the number one ranked project now in the country as far as bringing jobs to an area. That's up in Peoria. So interesting. And what we do, we went to an Arizona State land, or sat in on yesterday's Arizona State land meeting. And it's all solar companies and actually home builders now up by that TSMC area. And I say that because as the small investor, the small business, follow the big money. That's where it goes. It's all population movements. So it's pretty interesting. And that's where we sit. We get calls from a lot of commercial clients, and they want to open up an office. They want to open up a business in a small strip mall center. I say, well, let's look at your business plan. Let's look at your funding. It's more of a consulting rather than just let's sell you the real estate. It's my job. You know, a building owner is not just going to lease you a building if you don't have any experience in the business you're open or funding. They want to make sure that they're going to get paid. And that's where we sit down on the commercial end, look at the numbers. I want your business to succeed ultimately, because then you're going to buy a building down the road. And that's how I work with relationships and long-term, like I say, on the residential side. I want to sell your kids and your grandkids' houses if I'm still around. I think I'll be doing this for a long time, but you never know. But yeah, so just let's sit down and discuss your business model, and I'm on your side. Let's talk about it. I have the business experience opening and closing businesses, some good ones, some not good ones. So let's sit down and see where we can find the right building for you, because I want you to succeed. That's the reason we do that. We're Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway commercial division. Berkshire Hathaway's, they've got the HomeServices in there. They've never really been known for their big commercial against the CBRE and the JLLs and the other big shops. So a group of us that have been doing commercial for some time, we're meeting and kind of putting structure down, and with support from the Berkshire headquarters that work on that commercial name and growing that name. Let's get a structure the commercial division. Let's teach younger agents how they can succeed and grow the commercial business, because there's a lot of opportunity there. I think in the Phoenix area with business coming, I think there's a lot of opportunity in the commercial end. And I always say the commercial deals are pretty complicated. You can get yourself in trouble pretty quickly as a newer agent. So stick with somebody, let them mentor you. And we get referrals from the office all the time, and happy to help walk them through a deal. But what was I going to say? Anyway, it's, commercial is kind of that Wild West space, but it makes us better on the residential side. The commercial deals are a little bit complicated. There's a lot more to think about. You've got the phase ones. You've got the lending side of it is complicated. We've got some great SBA lenders if you're looking for that. Actually, if you're looking at that building on Roosevelt, we can set you up with a great SBA lender to help get you into that property. But it just makes us better on the residential side. You know, I've written letters of intent. Most agents submit an offer on a residential property. I've written letters of intent. That comes from the commercial side. It kind of lets us get the contract clean and everybody agree on everything. It's a non-binding agreement, but it lets us have that discussion on the residential side that gets the ball rolling. And the more home pre-work we do, the more work we do ahead of time, the better chance we have to getting to the closing table, getting you, whether you're buying or selling. So anyway, economy. We had a lot of economic data this week. I don't know if we even have time to go into it all, but Tuesday we had April CPI, Consumer Price Index. Little high, not too bad, but as Rick Santelli pointed out on CNBC, he's funny. I think I mentioned I used to stand next to him on the Board of Trade, and he's hilarious. But he mentioned it's an index. It's at an all-time high, Consumer Price Index. And then Wednesday we had PPI, Producer Price Index. That's the wholesale prices. So that usually leads inflation. That's a leading indicator of inflation because that's passed along onto the consumer. But then we had retail sales yesterday. Retail sales were good. And it's Stephanie Link, is that her name? She's a respected financial advisor, hedge fund person. She said the consumers just keep spending. But we did have an 11% increase in tax returns this year over last year. And how long can this consumer keep spending? You know, everybody wants to blame these higher 10-year rate really jumped this week. 10 years we're 4.55 we're trading now, about 4.57 on the 10-year note. And that's the rate that you and I pay. That's the loans that you and I take out are based off the 10-year rate, not the Fed funds overnight rate. We'll talk. Hopefully, we can talk about that in a minute. But the Fed's job is to keep the money supply in the United States even, keep the jobs. They have two jobs: keep the money supply good and job secure, and keep jobs flowing out there. So they have this, they have a lot of tools they can use. It's like if you've done any driving, high performance, or even driving on snow. As you push that accelerator, you want to do it gently. What do they say? Slow is fast. And you have to look at the outlook. Are you going uphill? Are you going downhill? Are you driving on a bank turn? Are you on an off-camber turn? What's the landscape ahead of you? So the Fed has to be very careful pushing and removing that accelerator to keep the money supply and the liquidity. It's not always about the rate. Boston Fed President Susan Collins, she came out and she said, I think she's one of the 12 members of the Federal Reserve. She says, I think this is where we are. And she even said, we may need to increase rates if we see inflation still accelerating. You want some inflation, but you want it to move along with growth. As long as the United States is productive and growing, a little bit of inflation, what do they say? 2% is good. But we get 4 or 5, what do we have under I'm not going to say his name, 8, 9% inflation under the last administration? That's not sustainable. But, we can sustain this as long as we have productive growth. And speaking of that, today is Jerome Powell's last day. Jerome Powell as Fed president. He's going to remain in the office. Kevin Warsh is taking over. It'll be interesting. I don't think that one man makes a big difference on the 12-man the goals of the Federal Reserve Bank. I don't think one man makes a big of a difference. But Chairman Powell, he got a bad rap. He really earned my respect over his 8 years and 10 years. He just standing strong and to his beliefs and his theories. And, I think he did. Imagine if he cut rates to 0. We would have super high inflation right now. So thanks, Chairman Powell. Unpopular opinion. Is that what the kids say now? Unpopular opinion. Thanks, Chairman Powell. You did a great job. So I wish you well. And we'll see where it goes. And you know what? It's all noise. It's out there. What happens to you and I? The sun's gonna rise every day. It doesn't matter if you're having a great day or a bad day. The sun's gonna come up tomorrow. I pretty much guarantee it. So and it's funny. Everybody in real estate, like I said, these negotiations. A lot of us of what we do is reading the relationship of the selling of the client, the buying or selling client, reading into them, kind of reading those personalities. And I carry a lot of weight in those relationships. Everybody has an opinion. My favorite thing to ask somebody who has an opinion, whether rates are going up or down or what their house is worth. Why is your property worth $7 million? Tell me why. Well, a lot of times I'll hear, well, I just like that number. That doesn't cut it. So if somebody has an opinion, whether a mortgage broker talking about rates coming down, ask them why. If they have a valid theory, that works. I'm okay with that as long as they can prove their point. And Ray Dalio he had an open door policy. If you could come in and change, our pricing structure on bonds or whatever it was, as long as you could prove your point, he was all open to it. Yeah, let's make that change. So that's I always say why. Why do you think what you think? So anyway, I got to run. We're getting a little bit long. If I can help you buy, sell, land, residential, investment property, commercial, if you have a real estate question, if you're an agent that needs to work through a deal, let me know. Happy to help. Give me a call, 203-733-5877. I'm going to be sitting here a lot today. We got a lot of paperwork to do, but appreciate you watching. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Be smart, be safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.